I'm Dana. I left off my last video saying that I was going to go and spend some time in the park with a friend, and I did, and it's left me feeling very upbeat and positive and happy and good for a change. So I wanted to sit down and make like a sort of little follow-up to the last video. I think I'm going to post them like side by side, like the day after the other, instead of like stretching it out to be like actual content. It's all actual content. I keep putting effort into things, so I'm counting it as content, alright? But I wanted to do a follow-up that's like the other side of my last video, because I'll link it here if you haven't already seen it. My last video was sort of the reality of life after being in an abusive relationship, and it was quite dark and horrible. And there's the other side to the reality of it that's actually really fucking nice, where I can go out to the park, like impromptu, just pop out to the park to see a friend and read a book. And I don't have to worry about getting home in time to make someone else food. I don't have to worry that he's gonna phone me and be like, why are you not home? You know? Like, as much as I am very much realising and processing how much trauma I have from it and how much it's like affected my personality and the way that I see and think about the people around me and the way that I like perceive situations and everything, like as much as it has fucked me up, I'm also free from it, you know. I left it and I've realised how horrible it was, and I'm in a completely different living situation that is so much fucking nicer. And it's one of those things where like, this is how most people live, you know. Like, I'm aware from the people that I know now that most people do have like a generally nice living situation, you know. Like, it's never perfect, but they don't dread going home. And that's where I want to start on this video. Like, I know I've already like spoken quite a lot, but I almost every day at some point, I will have at some point be sat normally in this chair in this room, I won't lie to you, and I'll just like see a bird fly past or see an aeroplane, or the cat will be on the cat bed or on my bed and look really cute, or like my housemate will like be doing a little boogie in the mirror, and I just have this like overwhelmingly positive, nice feeling of like, I'm here, like I'm in my room and no one can fuck with it, you know? Like, no one, like, it's my room. I have like, this is my domain. This is literally like, what I say goes in here, you know? And I've never ever had that, like, from having parents who like didn't really give a shit about my privacy and would just knock and walk in and be like, but I knocked. And it's like, yeah, but you didn't wait for me to say come in, you just knocked and entered and I was in the middle or something. To then moving out with a partner and sharing a bedroom and not being able to like decorate it in the way I wanted, not even being able to own some of the things I wanted because he didn't want to have them in the house. And this is, I can do whatever the fuck I want in here. Like, this is my room. And as much as like my roommate like pops in because I leave the door open and shit, I also know for a while, like, if I close the door, he will knock and wait for an answer. If he was having his little boogie and I turned around and was like, get out, you know, he'd be confused, but he would leave. Because it's my room and I get to just say what goes here. And I've never ever properly had that, and it's fucking incredible. It's so fucking nice. And like, while I was at the park, I unfortunately have become one of those people that often talk about my exes and like how I'm feeling and stuff to certain people, and I want to pull back on it and talk about nicer subjects, I won't lie, but also I can talk about my exes without having to filter my language or monitor things or leave things out because I know it sounds bad. Like, I can just talk with total freedom and say what I mean and not have to worry that it's going to get back to someone and they're going to be horrible to me, or like if it's going to upset them even. Like, I don't care if it upsets them because like, it's true and you shouldn't have treated me like that if you didn't want people to know. And I can just talk about it, I can just say it, you know, to the right people in the right situations, and I don't have to worry. There's not like a constant pit of anxiety in my stomach because of what if it gets back to them, what if they find out that I said this, what if this, what if that, what if this, because they're not in my life. I don't have horrible people in my life, you know? Like, the people that are in my life now, if they came to me and were like, you said this about me, it'd be something nice because I think nice things about the people around me, and that's so fucking nice as well. And now that I've mentioned anxiety, that's a massive one, because I've had a few things happen lately that I don't want to go into like super big detail on, but it's stuff that normally would have sent me into like an absolute spiral, you know. It's stuff that normally would have like really fucked me up and disrupted my life and disrupted my routine, and I would have had like that like throwing up, like literally throwing up, sweating anxiety. And I've still thrown up a couple of times, still getting a little bit sweaty. But I realised that when bad things are going on that are making me anxious, like when I have situational anxiety, because I have a lot of just like general anxiety on the day-to-day still, but I would have the worst anxiety when something bad was happening, and it's like, well, yeah, something bad's happening, but I don't get that same level of anxiety. And I've realised that it's because I was not only having to be anxious about the thing I was anxious about, but I knew that I wasn't going to get like the support and like the reaction to it that I needed from either of my partners, honestly. You know, with my first ex, I knew that telling him anything about anything like that, he would get mad at me. He'd be like, well, why's that happened? Why is it going on like that? Why have you done this? Why have you done that? Why didn't you know this? Like, even if it was nothing to do with me and it absolutely wasn't my fault, he would act like it was, and that just made me all the more anxious and made me think that everything was my fault. And then my second ex, whenever I was going through like bad times and needed support, would be like, oh my god, that's so awful. I wish that I could support you more. Just let me know how to support you better. You need support. Just ask for help. And then I'd be like, this is how you can support me. And she'd be like, you know, nothing fucking happened. And like, I always knew that I was going to deal with these situations myself. I knew that I would be the one to fix it. I just would have liked a bit of support to do it, you know? And I mean, I was going to, I can do it now without support. My friends offer me the support that I actually wanted, and they've been doing that for a while now, you know, like the people I have in my life now are people that I can rely on to actually support me, to actually help me with things. If I'm like, yo, this thing's happening and I don't know what to do, they will help me actually find solutions. And I'm like, I'm unlikely to ask them. I don't like asking for help. I would much rather deal with stuff on my own than actually ask my friends for support, which only made it all the more shitty that I would go to my partner and be like, this is a difficult thing for me to do, but I need support, and not get it. So I'm made so much less anxious by not having to like both deal with the thing and deal with someone not supporting me, like actively not supporting me and just sort of being there or actively making it worse. I'm so much less anxious to not have to like base all of my fucking like life choices and situations and everything I do on whether or not I'm going to feel bad about it, what the consequences are. You know, my general like massively overthinking brain anyway already has enough going on. I don't have to have this extra thing of like, oh, and how's he going to react? Is he going to be mad at me? Is he going to act like this? Is he going to act like this? And one of the things that I still don't know if it was like intentional abuse or if it was just him being him, was the way that like I would do, like, say I've done like had this same situation happen 4 times, and all 4 times he's been like, well, why have you done this? What's wrong with you? What were you thinking? The 5th time he'd suddenly be like, oh no, why has that happened? Oh my god, let me help you with it. And it's like, I've built myself up for like usually weeks to tell him whatever I needed to tell him, knowing full well that he's got to fucking scream at me and go off because it's what he's done every other time. And all of a sudden he just wouldn't. And it just put me on absolute eggshells. It made me so much more anxious than if he'd just like been horrible to me like he usually was, you know? And the other side of that was that, like, you know, things that had always been okay, I'd suddenly get screamed at. And I don't have to deal with that. And I shouldn't have had to deal with it in the first place, but I was dealing with it for 8 years and thought it was completely normal in a relationship. I kind of got a little darker than I intended this video to, but it's got a happy point to it. I also think that I've been able to form like healthy, good friendships with people for the first time in my life because I'm not with my ex and because I'm not around like toxic, manipulative, abusive people. Because like that's what my family were like, and then that's what my like long-term, straight from childhood to being an adult relationship was. Because it's the first time in my life that I've made friends that I want to be friends with through like purely my own self, my own being. It's the first time that I've been my own self and been my own being, essentially, like in my life, because before my parents made all my decisions and then my fucking boyfriend did, and then everything for a while that I did was like based on trying desperately to make my girlfriend like me. So for the first time I'm fully choosing things for me, and one of those things is my friends, because before I would make friends based on like, well, my parents like this person because I want this person to be able to come over to my house, so it has to be someone my parents like, so otherwise they won't let them come over, they won't let me go there. So all of my friendships up until I was 16 was based on who were my parents like. And then I had always thought that you could just move out at 16, so I'd always planned to move out at 16, and then I hit 16 and was like, what do you mean I need a job? What do you mean I need money? What do you mean I can't just rent a flat until I'm 18? Like, what do you mean there's like 1,001 things I can't do until I'm 18? I heard I can move out at 16, and damn well I want to. So I moved in with my boyfriend, who loved being able to hold over me, like, this is my house, I pay the rent, I pay for the things in this house, I pay for you to exist. Loved holding it over me. And would hold it over me with friends and be like, I don't want that person to come round, I don't want that person over here, it's my house, I pay the rent, you can't do anything about it. And it's like, yeah, I could have been friends with that person, but they can't ever come over to where I live. So after a while, like, I didn't consciously choose it, the same as I didn't consciously choose to with my parents, it was just the circumstances. I was basing the people I was friends with on whether or not I thought he'd like them enough to let them come over and let them stay about. And for a good amount of the friends that I made while I was with him, he set me up with because he liked them, and then I'd be like, they're actually a really shitty, awful person, I don't know why you've set this up. People hang around with a certain type of person, you know? And I think in not having that relationship in my life anymore, you know, like I say, it's people mesh and gel and hang out with the types of people that are similar to them. And, you know, I don't want to brag, I don't want to, like, have an ego or whatever, but, like, I try to be a nice person. I don't know if I am all the time. I mean, no one is all the time, but, you know, I try to be a good person, I try to be self-aware, I try to, like, treat others how I think people deserve to be treated and how I want to be treated, without necessarily, like, expecting it back from them, and so on and so forth. I try to be a nice person, and it's the first time in my life that I look around at the people that I'm with, and the people that I'm, like, hanging out with and whatever, and I'm like, these are fucking good people. Like, the opinions they express when they're talking about, like, various life situations they've had and stuff, the way that they've, like, solved their issues, like, or like, dealt with things in general, you know, like, it's all stuff where I'm like, this is a person I can respect, this is a person I like, this is someone that I think makes good decisions based on, you know, both how they feel and how other people feel and what the consequences will be. And they're not the types of people that were around my ex, and they're not the types of people that I assumed my ex would have liked. I mean, he didn't even meet my current friends. Like, I did meet them while I was still living with him, but we'd long broken up. I lived with him for a year after we broke up, and it was horrible. But he hadn't even met my friends. He'd, like, seen the odd picture of them that I'd posted on Instagram and shit like that, but he hadn't even met them. And he had a whole thing of, like, your poxy fucking friends that you just go and sit off with all the time. Like, he hated the people that I'm friends with now, and that also brings me joy. I'm also glad for that. I really think that anybody that my ex dislikes or hates or thinks is, like, shit or lame or whatever else, probably a solid person at this point. And he's also never going to meet my friends, and they don't deserve to ever have to meet him. And he's missing out. They're not, but he really is, because they're fucking great people. So yeah. You know what, maybe I am gonna have an ego for a sec. He's fucking missing out on me too. And he was missing out on me the whole fucking time, because he tried to make me into something I'm not. And he tried to make me be the way he liked, and I was always too much for him. I was too loud, and I was too this, and I was too that, and I'm fucking not. Like, there's nothing, I mean, there's plenty wrong with the way that I am, but there's nothing wrong with the way that I am. You vibe with me, you know. I'm alright. God, I'm like, I'm going to have an ego. I reckon I might be okay. I've just spent a very long time believing that I'm a very boring, non-interesting bit of shit, because he wanted me to think that and wanted me to feel like that, and it worked. And I'm increasingly like, no, you know what? I think sometimes I am quite interesting. At the very least, I'm creative. And at the very, very least, I got 1 million views on TikTok. I do use that as too much of a realm of validation. But yeah, that's the video. A little bit more positive, a little bit nicer, not really much of, like, a lesson to it. It's just sort of me, again, bragging that I'm in a decent-ish place. But I also think that it might be a little bit educational, because it's like the ways of abuse that people don't think about and you don't realise, and they're really fucking long-lasting, and I don't think we, as a society, enough discuss the long-lasting effects of abuse. I really thought I'd just leave him and be alright, but I think that it's also because there's some larger part of shame to saying that you're not, because it's like, I had I gave up 8 years to this abusive relationship, and you're telling me that I've now got to like spend more time basically giving him more of my time for me to not be fucked up from it. Ugh. But I'm trying to reframe it and think about it as like giving myself the time and finding who I am and being Dana, so lots of things suck, but we keep on going. You can follow me here on TikTok, on Instagram, on Twitter. I'd love it if you subscribed. Please do subscribe. Go on. Only if you liked it. Like, don't follow me to hate on me. You can also become a YouTube member if you want to pay me money each month, and you can also become a Patreon if you want to give me money each month. And if you, ow, that hurt. Okay, you all right? If you don't want to give me money each month, you can donate one time on Ko-fi, and that's always super fucking cool. I fucking love it. I just get a little email and I'm like, oh my god, I can afford to buy something. It's sick. So yeah, you can do that if you've got the funds and fancy it. You don't have to. And I'm apparently gonna go and have snuggles with Oatman, who's just arrived for the end of the video. What a gorgeous son you are. So whoever you are and wherever you are, I hope you're having a lovely morning, evening, day, afternoon, week, month, year. And I'll see you again. Oh, that's right, I upload on Thursdays and Sundays. That's why you want to subscribe to me. So whoever you are, wherever you are, I hope you have a lovely morning, day, afternoon, week, month, year. I will see you again in a couple of days.